NYYST.
Holla, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas.
Welcome back. This is episode 447 of the NYYST podcast. I am your host, Christian. I'm joined by my co-host, Sem.
What's up?
And we are here live on NYY Underground. And finally, as The Rock would say, finally, we have reached the end of the baseball winter. Our next episode, the Yankees will have reported to spring training, and the baseball winter will have officially ended. I didn't think we'd make it here. This has been some off season here. It felt like we had everything and then nothing, but we're here. Last episode without Yankee baseball.
Tired of winter. Bring me some spring weather. I don't want to see snow ever again.
Well, we're going to see a lot of it next week, okay?
No.
Are you all right?
I'm just tired.
Do you need some you need some stuff to keep you going here?
I need some water to flush out my system because my mouth tastes like salt.
So I understand that you are part of the cleanup crew in town, okay? But the salt goes on the roads.
No, it goes in the air and fills my cab, and I just,
Okay.
I'm dry.
He's huffing he's huffing salts now.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. Like I could taste it in the back of my throat and my.
Okay, you heard that? Everybody heard that? He feels it in the back of his throat. He's gagging now. Okay.
It's so funny.
All right, well, we're here live on NYY Underground here. It's Thursday night. It's February 6th. Like I said, the Yankees are going to be reporting in a few days. Aaron Boone is already on a plane down to Tampa. And we're ready to roll here, man. Like I said, this is the final episode of the off season. And I know next week when we record, nothing's really going to have happened other than we're going to see you're going to see hope. Hope springs eternal. You're going to see Garrett Cole and Max Fried and Devin Williams and Luke Weaver and Rodon and Schmidt and Heel and Austin Wells will be amongst the first guys rolling into camp as pitchers and catchers report before the position players do. So you'll see Sunny Florida with our ace and our new closer and all those cast of characters. And we can finally get past what a long off season this is and just seeing Garrett Cole throw his first bullpen is going to be exciting. Seeing Devin Williams wearing an NY on his chest for the first time is going to be exciting. It's the same thing with Max Fried, the first bullpen as a Yankee. We're going to be looking forward to all of it. And we don't have to sit here and be like, oh, well, it's whatever. Baseball will be back in a few short days.
Yeah, when's so pitchers and catchers on Tuesday? When's the rest of the team's report?
It's usually a few days later. I don't have the
Yeah, right.
I don't have.
I didn't check the schedule yet. I'm gonna see. I want to know when the first game is. Usually, I get to watch them. I'm pretty pumped. Start of baseball seasons is more than just baseball to me. It ends the whole shitty winter. I hate winter for multiple reasons. I have such a happy outlook on the next few weeks. I need this. I need it. I need it. I need it. Tim Hill. That was exciting news. I don't know if you were as pumped as I was yesterday when I finally saw that. I've been kind of behind everything, preparing for the snowstorms, but I was excited to read that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get pounded next week, but at least we'll have the Florida Sun and Yankees returning to, spring training to kind of distract ourselves from that. But before we get into everything, a lot is happening right now as we prepare ourselves for spring training. If you're in the chat tonight, please like this video, subscribe to NYY Underground. We're almost at 42K. Let's push that there. So we hit 42 before the Yankees hit Tampa. How about that? All right. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform on Friday, subscribe there and leave us a 5-star rating and review and tell everybody NYYST is the official Yankee podcast of Odyssey. Aaron Boone, this bum that he is, tweeted today that he's on a plane down to Tampa. And I'm excited. I'm excited that the manager of the Yankees is heading down there to get ready for spring training. I'm also not excited that this jerk is still going to be the manager of the Yankees. I'm not excited that this jerk is going around telling people that he liked the matchup with Nestor Cortez in the 10th inning in game one. I will never, never get over game one of the 2024 World Series. I know I preface this a lot by saying it's going to haunt us until we win another one. It should fucking haunt us until we are in a fucking pine box. It should haunt us that he went out there and with a guy that allowed one earned run in 5 2/3 innings in the American League playoffs, and a guy that went on and pitched another 2+ innings in the World Series and didn't allow an earned run, a guy that was your guy all season long, pitching to a 2 ERA when he came over from the White Sox, left him in the friggin' bullpen for Nestor Cortez, who hadn't thrown a goddamn pitch in a month. That should haunt everybody forever. If you're a Yankee fan, every time I bring it up, I get these smart ass Dodger fans saying, "Oh, we like the movie." Yeah, go fuck yourself, okay? How about that one?
Do you think he really liked it, or is it just a cop out?
He had to have done it for a reason, okay?
I don't know. I think he does a lot of things for no reason.
No, he has a reason. Whether or not we ever agree with it, there is a reason in Aaron Boone's brain why he does certain things. He just doesn't wake up and do things. First of all, the Yankees always meet ride veterans, even though Tim Hill's 34 years old, but he's not a Yankee veteran. You know, Nestor was. So they always love to meet ride their veterans. So that's not that I understand it, but that's also goes into that. What Nestor said preceding the World Series is he said, I'll gladly miss 2025. I blow my elbow out to pitch in the World Series. You know, maybe that had a little bit to do with it. It's what do you call it? He'll let me stop stuttering here. Nestor comes into the game with 1 out and runners at first and second. I've heard this bullshit before that Ohtani's fast and Hill's a ground ball pitcher and he might not be able to beat out a ground ball. Bullshit. Why is that even a thought in anybody's mind at that point? Because you put him in there to get Ohtani. You got 2 outs. So the double play shouldn't be in anybody's mind right there. You should be looking at your best possible pitcher in that scenario. And if you don't turn the double play, you still get Ohtani or somewhere. You can pitch around Betts. And then I would love to, honestly, I love the matchup a lot more with Tim Hill being the guy that's done this, that did that for the Yankees all postseason than Nestor Cortez in that spot. And, he got lucky. He got Shohei Ohtani because that pitch was pretty much center cut, and I don't know how Ohtani missed it. So, again, every couple of weeks or whatever, we rehashed game one. Look, it's just going to be the way it is, man. I'm not, we're going to turn the page in a couple of days. 2025 season will officially have started with spring training, but I don't know how any Yankee fan can sit there and just kind of let that go. There's a lot of reasons why the Yankees lost the World Series, right? Number one, they don't make that play in the 8th inning where the tying run ended up scoring. Soto doesn't catch the ball. Glaber doesn't corral it. Ohtani gets to third, right? Boom. That's a run right there. That's a tying run there. Then the Nestor Cortez decision, obviously what happened in game 5. So, again, I always say the Dodgers won the World Series, but the Yankees assisted in them winning the World Series in 2024.
Well, I've been busy all week prepping for obviously the next few days, but am I wrong in saying I heard Boone say that Marcus Strowman could be one of the most important pitchers in the bullpen?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a quick second. Let me get to Ra's super chat. Ra, My boy, what's up, man? He says, Christian, what are your biggest issues with Boone? How would you grade his game management skills? Do you think he gets the most out of his players? He be would he be a better manager somewhere else? I brought that up on this show a bunch of times. I would like to see Aaron Boone manage a different team, not only because I don't want him to be the Yankee manager anymore, but I would just like to see him not with the confines of having to deal with Brian Cashman and all Brian Cashman oversees on him. And my biggest, like Rob, my biggest issue with Boone is a lot of the times I feel like he just doesn't read the room well. Like he's got an idea in his brain and he just doesn't go past it. He just doesn't read the room and kind of see what's happening and maybe stick with a hot hand. It's always predetermined with him, it seems. When I stop talking, then you start talking.
Oh, I don't know. He's asking you a question. What do you want me to say? You want
I
me to
want
say
y- yeah, I want you to chime in and say, "Hey, I fucking hate Aaron Boone."
fucking Aaron Boone sucks.
There
He's a bum. No,
Look, does he get the most out? I don't. Does he get the most out of his players? It's hard for me. I mean, in 2019, Aaron Boone, that was probably Aaron Boone's best job as manager, as a Yankee manager in 2019. That team was decimated with injuries. He's getting, uh, big at bats. He's getting used out of guys like Cameron Maybin in 2019. But ever since then, I feel like that was the whole next man up thing that they had going on that year. And ever since then, I feel like it's been overblown with him, that he's just never really kind of tapped into that again.
Well, I mean, like, hear me out. Like, he sits there and he says, "You're asking him a question. How do you deal with?" And they're alluding to how they discipline players, and they were didn't in the interview didn't call out Torres directly, but that's what they're saying. And Aaron Boone goes and says that he treats everybody differently, not that he, how do you take that? Does that mean that there's other players that are getting pissed off because Torres is handed with kid gloves, and this person might get yelled at? Or is he just saying that he plays to their differences? Like this guy needs to be talked to nicely. This one needs to be encouraged. Because that's something that he said the other day that really struck a chord with me. Because as an employee at my job, if I have one guy that gets treated like a 2-year-old and I'm getting screamed and yelled at, that would piss me off. I don't think that that's a good way to go about managing.
Yeah,
I
but
think,
you've heard the term different strokes for different folks, right?
yeah, but like,
Not
I want to
everybody.
know.
Not everybody's going to. You might be. Your boss might yell at you more than a different guy because he knows that you're have thicker skin. You can handle it better. We've seen people, just out in the real world that can't handle not even yelling, like loud talking. It causes them to have a mental breakdown. So I don't really have a problem with him saying that he approaches each player differently because everybody's got a different personality. You don't have a room of 26 guys all with the same personality. Everybody's different. Everybody needs to be spoken to differently. Now, I think sometimes he doesn't take enough of a stern tact with this team, and I think that's a big problem for the Yankees. Is that the whole cupcakes and juice box things that we joke about here, it does seem to kind of manifest itself in that clubhouse, and maybe the Yankees had a little bit of a thicker skin. He. Things might be different, but I don't have an issue with him saying, maybe, a guy like Aaron Judge, you can tell Judge to go fuck himself and it's not going to bother Aaron Judge. Where if you said that to Gleyber Torres, it might cause him to crawl up in the fetal position at the foot of his locker.
I mean,
Do
I
you
don't.
yelling at him and another guy's like, trying to give him like a pep talk almost, but accountability is key. And I feel like there's been very few times Yankee players have been held to a level of accountability, which Gleyber Torres was one of the few guys that seemed to face any disciplinary action from this team over, especially in the last year.
Yeah, but it took how long? So
Again,
that's why, like, you watch
the
the games, you get critical of that. Like, I almost feel like either it was a cop out that he went with, and that alludes to it's almost like it's a predetermined thing when he's asked questions, or I don't know. It just seems like he's a little inept in that aspect of it. Is he afraid to yell at the guys? Is he being, held back by upper management? Like, what's going on here? Because, like, again, I don't want to see that. You don't want to watch baseball. You don't want to spend all this money, go to a game, watch your fucking players, second baseman be leading in errors, and watch nothing happen, and you roll it out
You don't have to
5
worry
every
about this
time.
year. He's in Detroit, okay?
Okay. Yeah, well, as long as he plays like that when we play against him, I don't care. But it's not my problem anymore. But I just don't want going forward. Who wants to see that? It's a big issue. And when he's asked that question, it kind of like it didn't it I didn't get what I wanted out of that question. That to me was a big thing. And because like you watched it with Sanchez and shit like that, like barely running to first base. That's why I want to hit him off the team so bad. I hate him more than anything. It's just I hate that shit. You're taught from your time you're a kid to hustle it out and do what you got to do, and you're watching these players not do it. And Aaron Boone just sits there blowing the fucking bubble while he's standing on outside the dugout. Like I don't want to see that shit no more. Go get the guy, pull him into downstairs into the bathroom, and scream at him, or coddle him. Do what you need to do. Let's move forward. And I think that his answer was it was just too it was shitty. I understand like it wasn't like a that wasn't like a deep dive interview. They were opening baseball cards and everything, keeping it fun. But like when you don't hear so many things and you only get a limited amount of interviews, like answer the friggin' question.
There's somebody in the chat saying like we pretend like all these managers around baseball aren't there are no more disciplinarians. Like, okay, I understand that we're in a new age where the manager's making $2 million and your superstar's making 40. So, he's almost got to kind of acquiesce to the player in that scenario. But go tell me how much different the Yankees would have been in that World Series if Alex Cora was in that dugout instead of Aaron Boone.
Sure.
I mean, the right I mean it's right there in front of you. You can be a player manager, you can be one of these new age managers, but you can also be better than what Aaron Boone's been for this team.
Yeah, like I don't need a manager that's trying to pay people to like slide into somebody at second and break their leg. Like I don't need anybody like grabbing. I don't like I see you're older than me. Who was the coach that it was they was screaming and yelling at each other in the freaking dugout? It was a Yankee coach, right?
Yeah, it was Billy Martin, bro. It was even before I was born. He was fighting
Yeah,
with
but it's
Reggie
like you
Jackson
know
in the
more shit.
dugout.
Like I don't need that either. Like you could go do it with like some, tact and whatnot, but like when they're rolling the shit out, like not for nothing. Here, Aaron Boone, when you got fucking Carlos Rodon crying, go grab him and walk him into the bathroom and say, not on national TV. Let's not look like a bunch of fucking scrubs. Like, come on. Like
No, that yeah, he can't.
you can't
Jesus
allow
Christ.
this. That was a friggin' meme for how long? And that's infuriating as a fan. I don't want to see that stuff. Don't give the other teams any ammo to use against us. Enough's enough. Like Boone needs to like I understand he was getting kicked out of game after game after game after game, for arguing. Like this past year, like not that he didn't get kicked out as much. I feel like he'd even argue as much. So I don't know if that was like, hey, they're like, hey, Boone, stop getting kicked out, or maybe he was like, I can't keep getting fined like this. But like, it just seems like it was very lackadaisical this year to me, and I don't know. We all question why'd he pull this picture? Why'd he do this? But the things that you can see right in front of your face that I think anybody and their mother would know, hey, I got to discipline him. I need to stop this. Let's cut this off right now. Like it's not like Gardner banging on the thing on top of the dugout. Like that was like you can almost take it as motivational. Whereas Carlos Rodon crying in the dugout is anything but. So he just needs to, I don't know. Enough of the oh well, I gotta treat everybody different. No, no, fuck you. Let's go. Come on, step it up a bit. That's how I feel anyway.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I disagree with it. I don't have a problem with him handling different guys in different ways. I think look, he is what he is at this point. He's been the manager of his ball club since 2018. He's not going to change his ways now, especially with the way the Yankees, how you call it, how the Yankees operate and think. They think, look, they did have a very successful year last year. They made it to their first World Series in 15 years, and they think that as long as they clean up their defense and blah blah blah, that they don't really need to change it, the way things are done in the dugout. And the one thing, we've alluded to some of the things that Hal Steinbrenner said in previous episodes in that interview with Meredith there. But one of the things he said he was going to sit down in the coming days and discuss an extension with Aaron Boone. Why don't we wait and see how things work themselves out this year before we discuss any scenarios with Aaron Boone being the manager past 2025? If the Yankees get back to the World Series and they, God willing, win, I don't care. Sign a guy, give him a fucking 20-year contract. I don't care at that point. We got the chip. That's all that matters to me. He can come back. The Yankees flame out. They don't even make it to the World Series. They flame out in the American League playoffs. How are you going to bring this guy back? How are you going to sell that to the fans? I know look, Aaron Boone's a nice guy. You know, you listen to him in those relaxed settings, like he was on with WFN the other day. He comes across very likable. So I get it from that standpoint. But it's all about wins and losses right now. And you can sit there and cite me his win-loss record. The fact of the matter is, the guy has not brought home the ultimate prize to this organization. No Yankee manager in the history of this ball club has ever managed a fifth season without previously winning a World Series. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We're going on year 8 of Aaron Boone with no World Series. Something's got to change at this point. And if we don't get it this year, you're going to bring him back for 9, 10, and 11? Come on, man.
But what happens if they now other side of the coin? Hal says, "Hey, I don't know. We'll see what happens." Does that show any faith in their manager? How do the players react to that? You know, are they going to
He's
be
a
like,
lane.
"Hey,
First of all, he's a
let's
lane. We like Aaron Boone. At an appropriate time, we'll sit down and discuss his future. That's it. Not we'll be discussing an extension in the coming days. Nobody no listen, no I can't imagine anybody as a Yankee fan is truly happy with his performance. And if you're in a chat and you feel this way, please state it because I would love to know that is anybody is truly happy with the performance of Aaron Boone as the manager. Because I just feel like he okay, how do I want to say? I don't think he got in the way of the Yankees at all in the American League playoffs. I think he managed as well as he needed to. He did a pretty good job, and the Yankees they got to the World Series.
they
Okay,
were rolling in the playoffs. It wasn't that hard to manage a team that was kicking ass."
okay, but he can obviously there's things that he could do to insert his influence and get in the team's way, right? And then the World Series comes along. The first hard decision that he has to make is the wrong one. And again, so Chris asked me this the other day. He goes, if Tim Hill goes into the game and attempting to do the Yankees win the World Series, I can't even confidently tell you that they're going to win the game. All I know is that that's the move I would have made. And it more than likely works out at a higher percentage than what actually occurred, right?
Well, no one's sitting there screaming, "Why didn't he go to Nestor?"
Yeah, that at least at that point, you're right. Nobody's sitting there saying, why didn't he go to Nestor Cortez in that spot?
No, because it's the obvious move that's sitting there in front of all of our faces. You
And
got a guy that's been lights out. He had 36 games, right? Appeared with a 2.05 ERA. Like the guy was nasty. And you don't go to him. Like you said, you go to Nestor, who didn't pitch a game in how long, had an injury. I don't it's mind-boggling why you would do that. I don't see it. I don't think anybody else sees it. I think his excuse for it was shit. I think it's a cop out, and he's just had a few months to think of any reason, or their PR people like, hey, if you're gonna get asked this, answer it this way. I don't believe it for a second.
Sam in the chat said the only fan base happy with their manager is the Dodgers. I have to disagree. I mean, if you're a Met fan, how could you be hating on Carlos Mendoza after the year after 1 year and where he got that team to? I
That's
mean,
not his.
if I'm a Met fan, I have to feel pretty good about him as a man.
Grimace did that.
Okay, Grimace.
It was Grimace.
But and then somebody else in the chat, I lost it now, said that Boone only made one mistake in the World Series, and it cost him the game. It could have possibly cost him that World Series. And I was going back to what I told Chris. At worst, at worst, at worst, we're going into Game 5. 2-2. Because again, if the Yankees do win game 1, LA probably doesn't punt game 4. But I still think the Yankees win game 4. I think the game was set up for the Yankees to take advantage and win. Does it become as easy of a win as it does? Probably not. But here we go. Now we're 2-2 game 5. And if it's 2-2 instead of 3-1, maybe they're not acting like a bunch of assholes in the 5th inning. They feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less pressure on them to keep this World Series going. Maybe things change. You know, again, the Dodgers won the World Series. I'm not taking that away from the Dodgers. They absolutely earned that title. They deserve it. They won it. But the Yankees actively aided them in winning that World Series. They didn't beat. They did. It's just a fact.
They should get
Dodger fans, the Dodger fans can feel triggered about that all they want to. It's true that the Yankees ate it by poor play and bad managing, and then winning that World Series. But again, this is the last time I want to talk about the World Series on this show. Because this is the last time I want to talk about that World Series, because now next week it'll be spring training. We leave this in the past, right?
Yes, new year, new team.
And I didn't say that it cost them the World Series. People listen and only hear what you want to hear. It did change the trajectory of this World Series. If he makes the right move there and Tim Hill gets out of the 10th inning, the Yankees are up 1-0 in the fucking World Series. Then there is no possibility of them sitting there in game 4 getting swept.
They're not playing from behind the entire time. It changes the whole dynamic.
And again, I'm not sitting here telling you if the Yankees win game 1, they win the World Series. They could still very well lose the World Series. The Dodgers were obviously the better team. All I'm saying is I'd like to see how the World Series plays out with Tim Hill in the 10th inning. I would like to see how the World Series plays out with the right move being made in the 10th inning. Is that a lot is that wrong? Is that a wrong opinion to have?
No. It's the opinion of 99% of us.
And just going back, because then I want to wrap the book up here on Boone here. What he said about Marcus Strowman, about him potentially being the most important pitcher for them in 2025. If Marcus Strowman, first of all, that's just Yankees kissing Strowman's ass because he's still here and pumping him up a little bit, and also throwing a little cherry on the Sunday of a team listening, maybe hearing that, saying, "Oh, look, the Yankees think he's really going to be important to them. Maybe there's more there than we think or whatever." I don't know what the hell it is. It means absolutely nothing to me, because this guy is not going to be the most important pitcher on this fucking team next year. He's a 6th starter right now. In what world is your 6th starter ever going to be the most important pitcher on your staff? If he is in a position to be the most important pitcher on this staff in 2025, we got a lot of problems here. And I'm probably going to shut the show down because I don't want to sit here and talk about it week after week.
I don't know. He did it. He's doing it obviously because he's trying to pump him up and he wants to sell him. But like, everybody knows you're full of shit. You did no justice but piss off your fan base because it's like insulting. Nobody's this stupid. Oh, last I heard something that the Marlins might want him or something like that. You still have other starting pitchers on the market. I can't see Marcus Stroman's going to be here. He's going to be on the roster opening day, and we're all not playing, but we're all going to be like, ugh.
And the whole reason we rehashed the whole World Series is because Tim Hill was a big part of the story. And finally, Tim Hill is back to being a New York Yankee. Forget Tuesday, I think it was. Yankees re-signed him 1 year, $2.85 million guaranteed with an option for 2026. The Yankees, it's $2.5 million salary for this year, and it's a $300,000 buyout. So if the Yankees don't pick up the option, he gets the $300,000. That's why it's 2.8 guaranteed, and the salary for 2026 is $3 million. Look, people are like, "Oh, look, Yankee fans think Tim Hill's there's some." No, we don't. Look, I've said this numerous times. I made a video about it to discuss the signing on Tuesday. I'm sitting here telling you that I think Tim Hill is some elite reliever, or that he's Tanner Scott or Billy Wagner or any of the. Tim Hill is a journeyman guy that was so bad that he couldn't hack it on the historically bad Chicago White Sox. Comes here, goes to Matt Blake University, becomes a really good pitcher for this team. This team needed a left-handed reliever. He was a guy who was here last year. He got big outs for you all postseason long. It was just something that needed to happen. Nobody's making that big of a deal over Tim Hill in the sense of who he really is. I think we all know who Tim Hill is, but it's a move that needed to happen. It's a nice move. It fills out the bullpen, and that's basically what it is. You know,
Yeah, and not for a lot of money. I mean, what you're getting, what these pitchers get, if they have to DFA him at the end, halfway through the season or at the end of the year, they cut ties with him. It's not like they're eating his shit like $18 million. So it works out pretty well.
and if last year was a fluke, exactly. You don't pick up the option. It was $3 million to try and see if there was more in the tank on a guy that was the second most important reliever you had in a World Series run. So I have no problem with it. I can't imagine. I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with it. I'm just happy the Yankees did this and didn't let the Marcus Stroman contract come in the way. Because that's the way it was trending. That's the way it seemed that they were letting Marcus Stroman get in the way of them re-signing Tim Hill. They got this done. It's one thing off the list here. We can feel a lot better about the bullpen going into 2025 here.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's not it more. No, I'm stuttering. There's a lot to gain, little to lose. If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. I'm sure someone else that we'll be able to trade for, someone else that gets DFA'd, we pick up. So there's gonna be plenty of other things that can happen between now and the trade deadline. So you take a flyer on him. If he don't work out, he don't work out.
No. So this is one of the things the Yankees had to do heading into spring training. It's done something that we don't have to, we don't have to wake up and read. We don't have to wake up and read an alert that he went to the Rays for the same contract, and people would have the meltdown on X would have been epic, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and then we go and we pitch against them or something like that, and then we end up losing a game because he struck every. It's like Canley went to Detroit, and I wasn't like bummed about it, but again, it's somebody going to a competitor, and I don't like to see that right away where they have the potential to strike out Judge and then cost us the game in a big spot or something like that. It's a hard pill to swallow because then you always go back to like we should have signed him or something like that. So like I said, it's not a big deal. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully he's here for the whole season. Hopefully we get back to another World Series and he's a major part of it. I like the way he pitches too. He's cool to watch. So
Little
I just wish he would
sidewinder there,
wish he would just
sidewinding
shave his
lefty.
mustache.
No,
I
it needs
big
it. It's all
mustache
part.
guy. I don't
No,
like that thing.
it's part of the personality of Tim Hill.
It's like Joe Dirt.
You need to. Did you ever hear Tim Hill speak?
No.
You need to listen to him.
Does he sound like Boomhauer or something like that?
No, just like the opposite. He's like, I'm really. The only time
No.
he was like, I'm really excited. Like
No.
yeah, like
I
I
picture
don't
him
know.
smoking Marlboro Reds, driving like a
No,
gold
no, dude.
Cavalier and
Oh
a
no,
Jeff Gordon sticker in his back window.
no, 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 no.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just hopped up on the Budweiser after they just clinched the pennant, because that's the only time I ever heard him. But he was just like, he had this very like high pitched voice, and I'm like, wow, that's Tim Hill, huh? That's my
That's wild.
guy, Timmy
I'll have to
Hill.
look that up. I did not expect that. I just expected like he eats raccoons for dinner and shit like that. He
Yeah,
looks like
what
my neighbor.
West, we've been here for a very long time. I think the show's been on NYYU since the Pete had the idea to expand to the network. We've been here. Thank you for joining us here tonight, and hopefully you stick around for the foreseeable future. Yeet. That
I'm
was
still
for that was for whoever asked me 2 weeks ago who I thought was going to win the Royal Rumble. I obviously didn't pick Jey Uso, but also have no issues with Jay winning the Royal Rumble. So I'm just going to throw that in there real quick. So on the Yankee checklist that I had marching towards spring training, Tim Hill was on there, got that done. Signing a third baseman. Now, Yohan Moncada went to the Angels right before we came on. 1 year, $5 million. As a guy, a few people, including Pete, liked. He's obviously not going to be here. I don't know what the hell the Yankees are going to do there. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I don't want to really get into it too deep here. You cannot put DJ LeMahieu at third base on opening day. You can't do it. And I know that the Yankees have said, well, we're going to, Cabrera, Peraza, blah. No, 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 no. DJ, no. No. Just the comes out of your mouth. No. That's the that's the answer for DJ LeMahieu. No. Just stop it right there. The tongue goes to the top of your mouth to make that no DJ LeMahieu. Stop it. Again, like I said earlier, if somebody in the chat actually legitimately wants to see DJ LeMahieu play third base this year, please tell me why. Why? And don't give me the Yankee reason if he's making $16 million. I don't fucking care.
He couldn't even elevate a ball out of the fucking infield last year for majority of the season. He's does a toe do that too? Like I never played baseball at a competitive level with a hurt toe or
I mean,
anything.
if you can't plant your foot, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
But I don't know, man. He did get. I was trying to think of a. I don't even know. Do you know of a name? Do you know of a brand that makes washing machines?
LG,
No,
Bosch,
huh?
Maytag, Whirlpool.
May we could call DJ LeMahieu Maytag because that's how washed he is. He's a washing machine.
He's
He
a
used to be the machine. Now he's just a washing
washing
machine, a
machine.
washed machine.
Jeez.
Maytag, DJ Maytag, DJ LeMaytag. There we go. DJ LeMaytag.
DJ
I
LeMaytag.
knew once we put it together, we would work it through there and we would get to the end result. DJ LeMaytag.
DJ LeMaytag. I'm getting triaged over here. My knuckle split open. My wife's putting Neosporin and a Band-Aid on my knuckle for me.
Oh, she doesn't want to pop in.
Oh, she went,
Oh my god, no.
that's the salt's got me my skin. This is why I could taste it still on my tongue. I've been drinking the entire time. It's like coming out of my taste buds. Like my body's like excreting it. It's freaking gross.
What did you do? Did you just
So when you drive a salt truck, a loader has to load you. You dump it.
okay? You loads.
Yeah, I took a load. I took a couple big loads today, and it just spills out through the air. Then you got a spinner on the back of the truck. It's going. You're flying around, hitting. When you hit a manhole cover, you ever rear-end somebody in a car?
Have I?
Yeah, or get rear-ended.
I've been rear. Yeah. Well,
All right, so
okay.
picture it feeling like that. Like
I've never personally been rear-ended. My car has. Okay.
Okay, well, when you get, it feels like you're getting in a car accident every time you hit a manhole cover because you catch the lip on it, and then the whole truck shakes, so everything goes flying through the air. Salt's in the air, and it gets into your cab because you can't drive with your just your defrosters on. You got to cut the window. It gets this whole thing, and the next thing you know, you're covered in salt. I showered as soon as I got home. I drank about 3 gallons of water today because I just feel it.
See, listen, you don't get this on any other podcast. You'll sit there and might say, well, you know what? This podcast gives me the WOBA and expected ERA and ERA plus and run
I'll teach you how to
differential.
snowplow.
This motherfucker right here is telling you the real world shit about what happens when people salt your streets after a snowstorm. Okay,
This is what I go through, so you other parents could send your kid to school that day, and you don't have to sit at home with them and deal with the torture of a snow day. I'm the guy your kids love to hate.
okay. So the reason why he's Mr. Plow.
I'm Mr. Plow. I got like a big 14-foot plow. I drive a single
That name
axle
again
dump
is
truck
Mr.
and a
Plow.
road. I clear the roads.
That's right.
Roads.
So, your kid is going to be like Bart in that episode. He's going to get beat
Yes.
up after the.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. I know there was that Nickelodeon movie when we were kids with the snowplow guy on this whatever. I love it.
All
I
right.
hate
So, okay. Anything else you want to tell people about this, or
No,
can we
we're
get?
good. I got triaged. I got my camouflage Band-Aid.
I've been wearing my daughter's frozen Band-Aids, and I got in trouble for using them all. So
Real nice.
they're the only ones downstairs in the kitchen. So what do you want me to do?
Um,
Anyway, so the Mets, we're going to talk a little Metsies here. This is the NYMST podcast, okay? We because this has been a big topic for me this offseason. Pete Alonso's finally back with the Mets. He got 2 years and $54 million. It's an opt-out after the first year. I love this move for the Mets. Honestly, I come here and sometimes we bust the Mets balls. This is a great move for the Mets. It's not a good move for Pete Alonso. The son of a bitch lost himself $100 million by turning down that extension. But I do love this move for the Mets. They needed protection in that lineup. And if they're going to bat Pete behind Juan Soto, then Pete's going to have a monster year batting behind him. I mean, think about Aaron Judge and then think about Aaron Judge last year with batting behind that guy, right? And I know I said his name twice already. I don't care anymore. Uh, because somebody said this to me once. He's like, "Why do you guys bring up Juan Soto so much on the show?" It's because it's such a major point of the offseason for the Yankees was losing him. First of all, the chase, losing him, how they rebounded from him, how the guys in this lineup have to pick up the slack. It's a major, major story. It's not like Gleyber Torres left, and we don't have to really talk about it in depth. It's a major story for the Yankees all off season, and
Yeah, and
what
then it,
they've done to pivot from it.
it comes out that he waited so long that they didn't even go with the original plan B because he took so long to make his decision. So it shaped this season's roster. Would you say that they wanted Snell instead of Freed?
Well, it came. There was a report by ESPN earlier today, or earlier. It was actually last week that the Yankees' original plan B was to sign Blake Snell and Willie Adames, and both of those players signed before uh, Juan Soto made his decision. Made his decision. I don't know why
Decision.
decision. I don't know why I can't say that word today. So I don't know. So basically, Plan C then was Max Fried and Cody Bellinger because I don't think the Yankees are probably trade. They would have left the hole in the outfield and not at third base. Then is probably what they would have done in that scenario. So I don't know. I do for some. I like Max Fried more than Blake Snell. I do. I think Max Fried's got. I know Blake Snell's a former two-time Cy Young. I just think Max Fried is just going to be more of a steady Eddie Rock in that rotation. I think Willie Adames, that contract that he's got is a little overblown for the type of player that he is. So I don't know. I don't hate that this is what really Plan C was. I don't really hate it, to be honest with you.
No, Snell wanted to be here. He would have been here the year before anyway. So I think we would have been getting a player. We probably would have overpay for him. And he came here, he obviously it's not because he wanted to be a Yankee, or else he would have done it the year before.
And it's like, the Yankees held off on the Yankees had met with Snell while they were negotiating with Soto, but it never got past a certain point because they weren't uh, they weren't going to engage in actual numbers until they knew whether or not they were going to, re-sign Juan Soto, and obviously they didn't, and Snell went to the Dodgers. So, I mean, you can be mad about that if you want to, that the Yankees sat there and what their original pivot point was fell apart for them because they waited on this guy and he took his sweet ass time making a decision and the Yankees' original pivot point fell through. So I don't know. But again, like I said, I'm not going to be mad about it because I like Max Fried and uh, Bellinger over Snell and Adames. That's just me. So
Not me too. But back to Alonso, I think that's the thing too is Soto elevated Judge, Judge elevated Soto. You're just gonna see if same thing happens with Soto and Alonso this year. Now Alonso, he got a $10 million signing bonus. I think it's like 24 this year and like 20 something the following year. So he ends up with almost the same money, but he's short 5 years. I that he really stepped on his dick when he turned down that extension. He was expecting big money and he wanted Aaron Judge money and he got nowhere near it.
no, well, he's not half the player Aaron Judge is. Pete
Oh,
Alonso hits home runs. That's what he does. And I wanted that in this lineup. I've been saying it on this show for how long that would have been what I would have been looking to do if I was the Yankee general manager. I would have tried to get a creative with Pete Alonso. Now, do I think this type of deal was on the table for anybody else? Probably not, because I think Pete really wanted to go back to the Mets, and he did.
And
And you got to
Scott
credit,
Boras
you got
probably
to,
wasn't his agent, would have gotten done earlier.
and I think you got to give a lot of credit to Steve Cohen, man. He played this fucking perfectly. If you're the Mets, you need Pete Alonso for 1 year. It's essentially a 1 year deal because I think Pete's going to have a monster bounce back year batting behind Juan Soto, and he's going to look to re-enter the market. Now, my two things. Number one, I think this gives the Mets one of the best, probably maybe second, third best offense in the National League now, because you got now you're going Lindor, Soto, Pete, Vientos, Nimmo. That's really fucking good, man. That's really good. Can't hate on that at all. And Francisco Alvarez too. You have to look at that objectively and say that's a really good offense. And they brought in Minter to go along with Diaz, so the back end of the bullpen is pretty steady. What still to me, and I'll address this also, the counter to this in a second, is I hate their fucking rotation. I hate their starting rotation.
How could you
Kodai
hate
Senga is their ace, and he's to me he tops out at a low end too. More profiles at it as a three, in my
Clay Holmes
opinion.
is going to save it? I was reading something today, and I was reading it, and they said, "Oh, Mets because Alonso Mets have a stellar offseason, whatever." And it goes like Soto, they re-sign Alonso, and it says, and they add Clay Holmes, and I was like, "What a headline! Ugh, what a headache." I don't know. Like they got Soto, but they also got Clay Holmes. It's you know
In a year where you signed Juan Soto to make that big move, that you had the industry changing move in that signing, right? No, and then knowing everything else the Dodgers have done, and then you have to face the Dodgers directly to get to the World Series. That your idea to fix your rotation was to turn Clay Holmes into a starting pitcher and bring in Frankie Montas. It just doesn't work for me.
No, like I know Severino bounced back. I think his shittiest game for them was like opening day, and then he had a pretty good season. And I don't why wouldn't they re-sign him? Is
Because
it
he
because
got he got
he got a
paid.
lot of money from the A's that no one was expecting? But it's like
And I
that's
think they were,
crazy.
and I think they were banking on, I don't know, maybe they knew something and they weren't really banking on him being that good again for another 3 years. But look, and then somebody, I tweet that, the whole thing about what I just pretty much just said about Pete, and it was like, well, the Dodgers won the World Series with a paper mache rotation, or what paper mate, I think was actually like whatever. First of all, the Mets offense is not the Dodgers offense. Okay. Even with Juan Soto, they're not as good as the Dodgers. That's number one. Number two, the Dodgers bullpen, to me, on paper anyway, even in 2024, is better than the Mets bullpen in 2025. And also, yeah, they got through the National League playoffs. They did do that. But, to say to win the World Series, it also helps when the Yankees actively handed them two of those games. The Mets going to face the same luck should they get to the World Series, that a team's just going to hand them two games in the World Series. And again, the idea is to be the best team possible. And when you have the money Steve Cohen has, and you choose to do that with your rotation, I have to say I have to feel a little disappointed if I'm a Met fan, despite the moves that they made. If I was a Met fan, that's the rotation that we're trying out to try to get over the hump and beat the Dodgers and get to a World Series now.
I mean, we dealt with two of those pitchers already, and I don't think that we have any love lost with them not being here anymore. So we kind of know what they're getting into. I mean, we don't never seen Clay Holmes as a starter. Frankie Montas, we didn't really see as a starter either because he was freaking hurt half the time. He came here hurt, and then we got hurt. He got hurt the season that he's started, right? He didn't make it the whole season.
Who?
Montas.
No, it was. I think
He came here hurt.
came here hurt, and I think he missed all that second year that he was here.
Yeah, like he only pitched like a game or two. They brought him in the very end. Like so, like it's not somebody that we're like looking at him like they're shit. Maybe they turn around. Hey, good for them. But it's not like you said, when you got money like Steve Cohen and you just sign a
I mean, Frankie.
generational talent, you expect more. You don't expect them to be fighting over a couple $1 million or a year added to a contract with Pete Alonso. Like here, we're calling Hal Steinbrenner cheap or whatever it is. Their franchise player, the polar bear, he got nickeled and dimed.
So Frankie Montas threw 41 innings for the Yankees in the year and a half that he was here. He threw
It's,
39 and two-thirds in 2022 after the trade, pitched to a 6.35 ERA, and then they threw him for one and a third innings in 2023, which was in that probably in that last series of the year, I think I remember it
he just
correctly.
looks unhealthy. He just looked unhealthy too when he was here. He was like a fat
And then
fuck.
since then, in 2024, he was traded uh, in the middle of the season. He went from Cincinnati, where he had a 5.01 ERA, traded to Milwaukee, where he didn't fare much better. He had a 4.55 ERA in 11 starts with the Brewers. So I don't know what the Mets think they're going to do differently. Again, maybe they feel like they have their own Matt Blake there and you can fix them. You see what they did with Minaya and Sevy. I don't think it's there in Frankie Montas, to be honest with you. And counting on 150 innings from Clay Holmes is a huge risk. I'm sorry. You're going to think this guy's going to be a guy that can give you 150 innings? I don't 150 quality innings?
Yeah, I don't. They're replacing Severino. Severino had a 3.91 ERA last year. 11 wins, 3 losses. He pitched 31 games. I mean and you're replacing him with Clay Holmes or Frankie Montas. Take your pick. It's just like I said. You spend all that money, and that's your lineup. I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say like Jacob DeGrom. They did all the same shit where they had one of the best pitchers in the league with no run support, and the guy. But that was a completely different ownership group. So it's like you
Yeah, I
can't
don't know.
compare.
I just would even I would like to have a horse at the top of my rotation though, going into the postseason. One guy you can rely on to be that guy. And they don't have it right now. Could they go out and get it? The off season's not over, obviously the trade deadline, but right now I don't think the Mets are a real serious threat to maybe even win their division, let alone take on the Dodgers. But to bring it back to what's important to everybody listening to the show right now is why does Pete Alonso have an effect on the Yankees? Well, it's a 1 year deal essentially. I expect Pete to have a big year. I mean, he can do a really funny thing and opt in, but then the Mets can obviously get creative and put Pete at the have Pete DH in 2026. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a free agent at the end of this season, and we've heard how much the Mets covet him, and apparently maybe the Yankees do as well. With Pete not being tied down long term in Queens, it, you know, I always thought Pete coming back would be a good thing for the Yankees because it would take the Mets out of the Vlad Jr. sweepstakes. But this was a perfect move. I mean, you got to give the Mets credit when they do something right. This is a perfect move for the Mets. They get their guy for this year, and it doesn't take them out of for getting their guy next year. And it could dampen what the Yankees are looking to do because knowing if Steve Cohen's out there lurking after what he just did with Juan Soto, after what you just went through with Juan Soto, do you want to get into another fight over a fucking superstar with Steve Cohen now?
No, not for a superstar that led the league in errors at first base either.
I mean,
Also,
I wouldn't worry. I mean, I wouldn't even worry about that with him, to be honest with you, because first baseman errors can be a lot of different things, and we don't watch enough of him to know uh, why he's making all those errors. Because sometimes bad throws don't get scooped and they get charged to
was
first baseman.
there's that international player too, right? The Japanese player, the first baseman that they keep saying the
Yeah, and
Yankees.
that's another thing. Does that then pivot the Yankees? Do the Yankees then pivot to go to Murakami? And then, as we've seen, Japanese players don't seem so fond of wanting to come to the Yankees anymore,
And Cohen's been on every single one.
and so have the Dodgers. So
So
because we know the Yankees are going to need a first baseman. This is a 1 year deal with Paul Goldschmidt. Even if they strike gold here, I gold and Goldie. Okay, I can't imagine that the Yankees are going to be stupid. Well, again, smarter Yankees here, and then turn around and give Goldschmidt a multi-year deal at 38.
No way.
I mean, Vlad Jr., I mean, you want to talk about a replacement there to set yourself up for the next 10 years to have another cornerstone superstar at first base. I mean, that just screams a Yankee thing to do. But is that cause the Yankees to say, now to knowing the Mets are not going to be out of that sweepstakes, the Yankees say, we'll look elsewhere.
Yeah. Or just not be 100% into it and be looking other places and miss out on some, you don't want them to miss out. Like you said with Soto, they were all in on Soto and they miss out on two of the guys they potentially wanted. We don't want that to happen again. No, they don't want to get in the bidding war with Cohen. Uh, just too many what ifs with that whole situation. It would have been much better for the Yankees had Alonso taken that extension and he'd been tied up for 7 years with $170 million of Mets funds tied up into him. It would have made things easier for us. But when you have an aggressive owner such as Cohen, who's going after pretty much every big name that we want to, then you got the Dodgers in the mix. Well, the Dodgers leading. It seems like the Yankees are almost neck and neck in those offers, but they're going after the same people we want. They want those international players too because it adds a whole nother revenue stream to them from overseas. So like you don't want to have that problem with Cohen. Alonso takes that 7 year deal. They're not going to be on that international player if that's who we really want. You want Vlad, same thing. It's just it changes the dynamic of how you approach that situation.
No, it's just interesting to think about. I mean, because the way I look at it is that the Yankees need a long term first baseman. We don't have one right now.
Ben Rice,
What are you going to get out of Ben Rice this year that's going to show you that he can be long term first baseman? Hopefully, nothing.
nothing.
Honestly, I hope to God that we don't see enough of Ben Rice this year to make it to be able to say whether or not he can be a future first baseman. Because if we're seeing enough of him to make that distinction, that means Paul Goldschmidt is busted out, basically.
Busted out, worn out. He's a 38-year-old man. I'm sure we'll see Ben Rice playing first base at some point. Whether they gotta put Goldschmidt in the IL for a week to give him a rest or something like that. He's 38 years old. I'm 37. I can't do. I'm tired.
You're also not a professional athlete. These guys are
Yeah,
built
still,
differently.
right.
So let me look at something here.
Let me look at something.
You know, people are talking about Vlad Jr.'s decline. Do you want to hear his numbers from last year? 6.2 WAR, second highest of his career. Played 159 games. This dude has never played. I don't. It was 2019 was his rookie year. I got to see when he got called up, but he's never played less than 156 games in a full season, and he played in all 60 in the COVID year. So he stays on the field. Okay, 199 hits last year, the most in his career. 44 doubles, the most in his career. 30 home runs was the third most in his career. 103 RBI, second most in his career. Uh, 323 batting average, highest in his career. On base, 396, second highest of his career. OPS of 940, second highest of his career. OPS plus 166, second highest of his career. So where's the decline there?
I don't think he declined. I think he got off to a slow start, or like I said, you don't watch him enough. I know he. I think it was the beginning of the season. He was playing a little shitty, and then he picked it up and he became
Yeah, I don't think he had the greatest start to the season, but in 2021, I thought he should have won the MVP over Shohei Ohtani. I honestly thought he was the most valuable player in the league in 2021. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Honestly, I know Yankee fans hate him. He has trouble keeping his mouth shut. He acts like a douchebag on the field. He's a great fucking player, and y'all would bend at the knee if he became a Yankee because that's a him and Judge in that
He
lineup
wants to pick
together.
up. That'd be a monster offense. Imagine adding him in there. Is next season next is this season or this when's John Carlos got two more seasons? This one and one after. 26 is his last season.
No, I think 27 ish.
27.
At least 27. Let me look that up here.
That'd be a monster at bat. That would be like a very daunting lineup to face. I don't like Guerrero at all.
No, I don't.
I would take him in a heartbeat. Like Bregman, I don't. I know everybody wants him, and that's somebody I actually just hate.
John Carlos Stan doesn't have the is not eligible to be a free agent until the end of the 2027 season when the Yankees hold a club option for 2028. So the
Oh, so
Yankees
they could
can
take him only to 2028.
they could. I mean, if the Yankees pick up the option.
He'll be 39. 30, he's 30. He's a year younger than me, so he'll be like 39. He'll almost be 40.
No,
I
he'll
don't know.
be 38 in 2028.
He'll be 30. I thought he was only a year younger than me. That's so weird. He looks older than me.
So
Like
the Yankees are the
if I were
Yankees.
to take
I
my
don't want to say stuck with, but because I don't feel that way. But the Yankees have John Carlos Stan for 3 more years. Look, and you gotta look. You gotta start looking at the future here. What is Volpe? What is Wells? What is Dominguez?
yeah, what is
What,
Volpe?
and then you add a 29-year-old superstar into the mix, and possibly Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, I just don't. I don't see the downfall in that. You were going to pay Juan Soto until he was 41. Could you pay Vlad Guerrero till he's 40? He's that good. Sorry, he's that good. And
Yeah,
another
for a
thing, he
fat
can
guy, he
also,
moves.
and that's why, Pete wants to get funny with the Mets and pick up that option. He could DH for 2026 and Vlad's your first baseman. So it doesn't take the Mets out of trying to get Vlad Guerrero this contract. That's why it was beautiful. It was a beautiful job by Steve Cohen. Got the guy he wanted and keeps him in for the guy that he really wants. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due there, man. Sorry. I know a lot of Yankee fans don't want to hear it here.
Yeah, they offered Pete a 3-year deal too, but I think he took they said they took 2 year because it was front heavy more so than the 3-year deal. So I don't know, maybe that wasn't even the Mets' intention. Maybe they were trying to lock Pete up for a little bit longer, and they don't want to be on Vlad, but what Pete did, it's gonna be right there
No,
in
I
their
think they
face.
want to. I think they want to be in on Vlad, and I think this is I think this is exactly what the Mets wanted. They wanted Pete back for 1 year, so they don't get themselves taken out of what they really want. And that's Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah,
And it does have a direct tie to the Yankees because the Yankees need a first baseman. They need a future first baseman. And two of them could potentially be on the market. Well, three of them really, and also Pete. But I think the Yankees are definitely the ship has sailed on that. They won't. I don't think they'll be in on Pete next year. Of what you could consider your next franchise first baseman for the next 10 years. And again, there was a lot of concerns about Murakami. Pete brought up when he guest hosted a couple weeks ago about his conditioning. Guy's 25 years old. There's questions about his conditioning. That's got to be a little concerning there. And always, about how these guys translate coming over to America. The Yankees have actually gotten lucky with Matsui and Tanaka where it translated very well. But there's also guys, Kosuke Fukudomi comes to name, Kaz Matsui, Keigawa, fucking Hideki Arabu. The list can go on and on. Not everybody's going to be Hideo Nomo. Uh, and the jury's really still out on Yoshinobu Yamamoto because he didn't pitch enough in that last year. So you just don't know how these guys translate coming over to America. And that's a scary proposition. If that's the guy you're going to sign 5, 6, 7 years or whatever it might be to get him to come here.
No, that's why
Whereas you,
you'd want a Guerrero because he's proven already. You're not. It's not the what if and what can be. It's what is. You want to go with the sure thing.
and the Yankees have always had a big slugging first baseman. Was always like a calling card of the Yankees. The Yankees are good. They got a big slugging first baseman. Right now, they really don't have one. The Yankees are hoping that this guy reverts back to a guy that was an MVP a few years ago. So we'll see. Uh, I think it's an interesting conversation here to at least have, as we look ahead towards spring training, about what the offseason could potentially look like. Now that this move was made.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a conversation that happens at the trade deadline. The Toronto dive bombs. I'm sure Guerrero will be open for up for grabs.
But what would a trade like that look like
Yeah,
for the Yankees though? And then do you really want to send those types of prospects to the Blue Jays for
No,
3 months of Vlad Guerrero.
no, not at all.
That's
Unless,
that's a risk right there.
yeah, if they were dominant and they was
And
gonna just be like elevate them that much, I guess how the season goes.
that's why I had no problem with the Soto trade. You got a full year out of him. You got to the World Series, but like, and it's in the National League. You don't have to really ever worry about what you traded over there. To make a trade for a real true, what I consider a real true rental and a guy that you're picking up at the trade deadline, to send those types of prospects in your division,
Yeah,
you can't fall short at that point.
no, no, you
Especially now that especially that the Mets would want to be in on this guy, and that you already saw what happened a year prior.
yeah, no. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. And then you're gonna go up against the friggin' Avengers and ah, it would seem like money thrown out the window almost at a certain point, I think, because I have a feeling the Dodgers are just gonna be freaking dominant because everyone's like, oh, I would never wish injuries on people, and as much as I don't like them, big people out there wishing injuries on the Dodgers. The problem is even if the Dodgers do have injuries, it brings a whole new meaning to the next man up because the next man up is still a freaking all-star almost. You know what I'm saying? They have so many freaking players. It's absolutely unreal. Like they're not gonna like they could be plagued with injury and replace their replacement with a replacement, and they would still have a high caliber player, probably, or an above average player playing. It's not like Anthony Rizzo gets hurt and you got to bring somebody up from Double A who was a catcher to be your first baseman. The Dodgers are just like, oh, let's bring this guy in. He's really good. We're paying him $10 billion.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo goes down, and you're playing John Birdie at first base in the postseason, a place he's never played in his entire life. The Dodgers won't have to have that issue.
No. Did you see John Birdie's interview?
Yeah, I heard what he said, and just to briefly touch on that, you know what? Yankees can. I hope the Yankees felt disrespected by what the Dodgers said. Maybe it would motivate them. Maybe it will motivate them to clean up their act this year.
Yeah, well, half that team's not here anymore, though.
Who's not here? John
Yeah.
Birdie?
No, John Birdie, no Torres.
Clay?
Clay Holmes
Okay.
is gone.
Soto's
There's a lot of guys.
okay.
Soto's gone. All the
Clay Holmes?
almost half the
You
team.
know who's here? Garrett Cole. You know who's here? Aaron Judge. Those are your leaders. Those are the guys that should be rallying the troops now. Like as soon as they fucking hit the ground in Tampa, those two need to be rallying the troops. Have every goddamn quote that the Dodgers said posted on the bulletin board in George M. Steinbrenner
They
Field.
should do that. My
This
wife
is
will
what
cricket them for them.
this
Put it
is
on
what they said about us after they beat us. What are we gonna do to change this?
put Joe Kelly's face on a dartboard.
What are
Douche.
we gonna do to change this, guys? Max, you're here, buddy. Let's go. Devin, you're here, buddy. Let's go. The rest of yous that were here and we suffered the embarrassment and the way we lost that World Series and let them talk shit about us for months after they beat us. What are we going to do to change that? That's where everybody wants to talk about leadership. That's where Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole got to step the fuck up in Tampa and make sure this team knows that they're not going to get clowned like that this year. This
Yeah.
should also be the manager's job, but we know he's going to be in the kitchen preparing gluten-free cupcakes for everybody.
That's funny. Gluten-free cupcakes. All vegan. Vegan cupcakes. Gluten, that's just you gotta seal the X disease. They're eating vegan cupcakes. That's for the pansies. I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited. I can't wait. I want to see what's gonna happen. I want to. We're all interested. We're dying, chomping at the bit to see who's gonna be the third baseman.
Can
I'm sure.
I can I ask a question? Do you think the Yankees got embarrassed in the World Series?
I think the Yankees got embarrassed because your captain, the quote unquote best player in the league that we all say, drops a ball, an easy, seemingly an easy play, and then on top of that, MLB in their infinite wisdom, like a bunch of dirtbags, took said ball and auctioned it off. That is just the ultimate insult. I don't wonder what I couldn't even finish watching the auction. I don't know what that ball sold for, but that has to live in Aaron Judge's head. They have to be embarrassed if they're not mortified at their the way they played that final game, it's just they were embarrassed. They've been dragged through the mud. Just the memes alone on New Year's Eve of the ball dropping and
The
every
Yankees got embarrassed. Go ahead. The Yankees got embarrassed in the World Series. Anybody that says that is delusional, and I know you know that I'm talking to you directly right now. All right, not you, somebody else. The Yankees were embarrassed. Being down 3-0 in the World Series is embarrassing. Okay. Having the only game you win being handed to you because the other team punted it because they knew they were going to beat you is embarrassing. Okay. The way you blew game 5 up 5-0 with your ace on the hill and your all world player, your superstar, doing something he'll never do again in your life, blowing that lead is embarrassing. And then being fucking clowned for the last 3 months is embarrassing.
yeah.
And they should be half as mad as I am about it right now. It was an embarrassing performance by a team that was a lot better than they showed in the World Series last year. I don't give a
Two
fuck what
guys,
anybody says.
two guys with World Series experience, one a World Series winner. They fucked up a play at first base. Garrett Cole was dealing, and then just gets derailed because of stupid fucking plays and errors, and then he himself doesn't cover first base. That was the most maddening moment of that game to me. Listen, Judge was fucking lights out all season. He dropped the fucking ball, and he wasn't playing that great during the postseason. Soto was an animal, and fucking Stanton was an animal. They kept us in it. But then you get to that game, you lose in our house, which made it even that much more worse after trading away two players that we for you take Soto in here. We're like, oh, this could be a great year. We're all going. They're all hyped up, and then Aaron Judge drops the ball. They don't cover first. Torres is doing God knows fucking what. If you don't think that the Yankees and I don't. I'm not reading the comments. I don't even know who you're talking to.
Look, I'll tell you this right now. Soto's throwing to second base, embarrassing. Gleyber Torres not corralling the ball, embarrassing. Not going to Tim Hill, embarrassing. That's 3 right there in game 1, okay? The way Carlos Rodon pitched, embarrassing. The way that the fact that the only win that they got was handed to them because the Dodgers punted it. It was pity. They took pity on the Yankees to let them here get one in front of your home fans. That you should be embarrassed by that. Aaron Judge dropping the ball, embarrassing. Nobody covering first base, embarrassing. Getting clowned all offseason, embarrassing. Yeah, and I know what Dave Roberts said that if the Yankees won game 5, they would have been nervous to get to game 6. Guess what? That's something you can say after you just embarrass somebody in the World Series. Because that's guess what you're doing? Clowning them some more, saying, dude, you could have had us on the ropes. But guess what? You embarrassed yourselves by the defense you played. You embarrassed yourselves by the managerial decisions that were made. So we're just going to rub some salt in the wound here by saying, oh, yeah, we would have been really scared. Come on now. That was an embarrassing performance by a team that should have never been that embarrassing. It should never come down to that. I'll go to my grave saying to myself that the Yankees lost the World Series in 2024 because they pissed all over themselves in 2024. Not because the Dodgers were really, truly better and outplayed them. They pissed all over themselves in that World Series.
No, like I said too, like the meme on New Year's Eve, like that was a dig at every single. It was dig at Aaron Judge and a dig at every single Yankee player and Yankee fan. We're ringing in the new year, and it's like, oh, here, watch the ball drop. 3, 2, 1, Aaron Judge. Like every social media thing you went, I couldn't go on social media that entire week. You swiped, and that's all you saw. They just rubbed it in our faces.
Aaron Boone,
That was the hot meme.
I gave Aaron Boone a lot of credit for the way he handled the American League postseason. He didn't get in the way of the Yankees winning the pennant. Guess what? He did get in the way of them winning the fucking World Series because then when he finally had to put his imprint on something where a decision that he would made would impact the game, he failed. Embarrassing. An embarrassing managerial performance out of Aaron Boone in game 1 of the World Series. I can sit here all night and continue to say the word embarrassing because that was their performance in the World Series. Because if they weren't embarrassing in the World Series, guess what? Maybe we're sitting here talking about the Yankees winning their 28th World Championship.
No, it's not. It wouldn't even be that bad. Had they won that game, they won the other game, and they lost 4-2. It's a lot different than losing 4-1. They played from behind the 8 ball the entire time. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. That was heartbreaking. We all thought, like, oh, it's gonna be a great season. It's gonna be a great season. Oh, we got Juan Soto. We're going all the way. You have the two best players in baseball, and we fall short, and we lose in I can't even think of the word, dramatic fashion.
Guess what? In game 3, when the series is really truly on the line, when every Yankee fan, including myself, said, you know what, we're back home, things can change, right? You get shut down by Walker Bueller in
Bueller.
game 3 at home. And if not for a garbage time home run in the ninth inning from Alex Verdugo, you're getting shut out at home. Embarrassing. When the World Series is really on the line, when you know you're not coming back from 3-0. Nobody's ever done it except it happened to us, of course. Embarrassing. It was an embarrassing performance in this World Series by the Yankees. So just stop, man. Eh, You know, you can be the biggest cuck for the Yankees you want to be, but and sometimes I am. I'll admit it. I can cuck for this organization with the best of them.
No,
But
you're a cuck for Cole.
but I'll sit here and I'll call things out the way I see them. I don't go to bed at night thinking that the Yankees played their best brand of baseball in the World Series. I don't go to bed at night thinking the Dodgers when we went toe to toe with the Dodgers and the Dodgers were just better. I think the Yankees shit, like I said, Yankees pissed all over themselves in that World Series. They got embarrassing managerial decisions, embarrassing defense, embarrassing offensive performances, and just and then they got clowned all off season to add insult to injury.
Yeah, and now you got to go and beat all the teams all over again. Get to that same spot. You'll probably play the Dodgers again, and you have to beat the Dodgers, who are infinitely better than they were last year. Seems pretty daunting. I'm not as I don't know about you, but I'm not as optimistic about this season as I was last season.
Look, I just don't think it's a strong American League, and I think the Yankees are as good as any team in the American League, and I think they're probably still the best team in the American League. So,
Yeah, but you're
and
still
just
probably probably end up being second best is what is the way it looks. Like I said,
uh,
like you can't.
and then it all comes down to is if they do clean up their defense and they do, you know, then Aaron Boone doesn't get in the way of them winning a game. Is that enough now, or the Dodgers that put themselves so far ahead of everybody else?
Yeah, hope no extended. Yeah, like you say, embarrassing. Like they were extending the inning and causing themselves to lose in a game that we thought, okay, this is gonna be, we're gonna win this one. After they coughed up the first game, and then they did it again, but worse.
Listen to me, Li. Listen to me. I don't have to sit there and chapter and verse every bad decision that Aaron Boone made because the one that he made cost him a game, which could have cost them the entire World Series. When you're in the World Series, you don't get a mulligan for a bad decision. That's what you're not understanding. You don't get a pass for making one bad. 99 out of 100 times he makes the right decision. The one time he didn't cost them the game. Just like Aaron Judge will live with that forever. I'll go one better. 999 times out of 1,000, he'll catch that ball. The one time he didn't cost the Yankees the game in the World Series. He can never live that down. This is not a game in June against the friggin' White Sox. This is the fucking World Series, bro. We hadn't been there in 15 years. You don't get a pass just because everything else you did right. You have to be perfect. Perfect. And they weren't. They were way beyond perfect.
All right.
I don't know what else to say other than I'm done talking about the World Series. I'm done talking about 2024. Next time we sit here and record, the Yankees will be in camp, and we can look forward to 2025, and we can look forward to is Anthony Volpe going to take the next step now in year 3? Is he going to become a player that we can pencil in as our shortstop for the next 8 to 10 years? Is he the guy that we saw in the postseason, or is he the guy with a 600 OPS? Is Austin Wells the guy that is now entrenched as being the starting catcher in his team, that he can be the best offensive catcher that the Yankees have had since Jorge Posada? Is Jason Dominguez which is a good sign now, in my opinion, that he's wearing 24 because it just shows the Yankees' level of commitment to him. That's just a thought that I'm having. Is he going to be close, even 80% of the superstar that we were billed on? Is Cody Bellinger going to bang like I think he's going to bang in the Bronx this year? Is Aaron Judge going to continue this Hall of Fame trajectory that he's going to be on? How good is this fucking rotation going to be? This is all what we can look forward to starting next week. And is it good enough to get the Yankees back to the World Series? And is it good enough to get the Yankees past the Los Angeles Dodgers? Because it would be the upset of all upsets if somebody else is representing the National League in the World Series this year. That's where we are right now. 2024 is past. We've talked about it. We've left everything. I finally feel like I got closure on this World Series and what it meant here. We're done with it. And now we look forward to 2025. And as Rocky said, and he's like, you replace old pain with new pain. Let's get some new pain now. Let's replace the old pain of 2024 with some new pain here. Hopefully not, but that's where we're at right now. So,
Yeah. Exciting. Let's go 2025.
I'm excited, man. I don't know how you
Pumped.
cannot be excited for the Yankees to return to action next week.
It's like I said, I hate winter. I make a lot of money. I hate winter. Winter's what allows me to pay for me to go to said Yankee games. I still hate winter. And this is just this is everyone waits for Groundhog's Day and stupid shit like that. I think people like us wait for spring training to start. Signifies end of winter. We're coming to a new season in baseball, new season in spring. Get this cold, shitty weather out of here. Give me some friggin' sunshine and some baseball. I'm
The
pumped. March 27th. I cannot wait. I have my tickets. I think we got tickets for March 29th. That's 2 games in 3 days. I am fucking pumped. I can't wait to pay that toll on the GWB. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it because I still don't have a fucking Easy Pass. Fuck you, Easy Pass. And
all right, we're renting on Easy Pass now.
they're a fucking bunch of douchebags. But we need to. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It's great. I love this time of year. It's like I said, it didn't really hit me before until you said it. When you said it, it was like I was like, ooh, and it got me. I felt the tingle. So
Jared just posted it in the chat. If you're in the chat and you haven't done so already, get your tickets for March 29th. NYYST will be out there as part of NYYU Day in the Audi Club on March 29th. We are so excited to see everybody out there and the return of Yankee baseball. And I know people like to shit on pitchers and catchers reporting day. You know, a lot of people are like, what does it mean? It doesn't mean it. They're not going to really be doing anything. It's a more of a ceremonial thing than anything. But it's like our Christmas Day. You know, it's the beginning of a new baseball season. I'm excited for it. I will always get if there's ever a day that I tell you that I'm not excited for pitchers and catchers reporting, I want you to, you know, do
take you
something.
out back and shoot you.
Well, you can't say that.
Whatever. Jesus.
Can't say that. That's why I didn't just come out and say it.
They did
I,
it to Old Yeller. We'll all take you out back.
if
And
I ever, if I am ever not excited for pitchers and catchers, then I want you to
Old Yeller, you
not, call the police and perform a wellness check on me because something's obviously wrong.
check his pulse.
So I'm excited, man. Pitchers and catchers this week. Yankee baseball will be back soon. And like I said, Jared just posted it in the chat. Get your tickets March 29th for NYYU Day. We are so excited for the event and to see everybody out there. And we'll be super excited if you like this video. Subscribe to NYY Underground. And just a little scheduling note, if you're used to seeing us on Thursdays, we were preempted last week because Pete was traveling and it was also Jira's birthday. So happy birthday, Jira, the MVP of NYYU. We will be on Wednesday next week. We'll be here live Wednesday at 8 o'clock for the next episode because I'm actually going to see Chaz Palminteri's one-man show of A Bronx Tale on Thursday night. I'm super excited for that. Bronx Tale, severely underrated movie, does not get the love it deserves. I saw the play when it was on Broadway, fucking loved it, and I'm super excited to see his one-man show. It was my Christmas present for my wife, so thank you, wife, for that. Really excited for it. So that's why we'll be on Wednesday. If you're looking for us, obviously follow us on social media at @sem_NYYST, even though he doesn't do a goddamn thing there, even doesn't retweet the shit I ask him to, but he's there. Follow me at Christian_NYYST. Keep you updated on everything.
I'm just gonna give my wife my Twitter login and let her do it.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not a social media kind of guy.
All right, so she's your social media manager. That's
I get
fine.
in too many arguments. I'm an argumentative person.
Yeah, that's true. He is. All right. So we want to thank everybody for being in the chat tonight. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please subscribe there as well. Tell everybody NYYST is the official Yankee podcast of Odyssey. We want to thank you for your continued support of NYYST and NYY Underground. And we want to thank you for listening and watching episode 447. Sem, say goodbye.
Disgraceful.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text. From way downtown, but the shit's still wet.